And with us right now, we've got Ellen McIlhenny. And Ellen, you are the founder and CEO of CFO Plus Services, found on the web at cfoplusservices.com. Thank you so much for joining us, Ellen.
Oh, you're right. It's great to be here with you, Josh.
Well, I'm excited. I don't know if everybody gets excited to talk about money, but I do. Been in business for a long time, and I have to say that when you're a newbie in business, if you've been in business for any length of time, you learn to really love the money experts in your life because they keep you from making bad mistakes. They keep you profitable. They help guide and advise you, particularly when you get, to work with someone that's, again, at that, the CFO level. We'll talk all about that. But Ellen, and you're based in the Richmond area in Virginia, very beautiful part of the country. Give us a high level overview of CFO Plus Services.
So I started the company. Well, I started on my own as a fractional CFO about 5 years ago with a large CFO services firm. And last February, right before the pandemic, I decided to go out on my own and start my own business, CFO Plus Services. And the reason I did that is that the company that I worked for before I went on my own was a mid-sized privately held business that did a lot of growth through acquisition. And so we would buy small businesses, and I kind of became a little bit of an expert on due diligence and how to get a company ready to sell, because one of the things I noticed is a lot of small business owners don't know how to get their company ready to sell, how to maximize the value so they sell. So that was my whole goal, is to help small business owners do those kind of things that they need to do prior to selling their business if they want to get what they need from the business. So that became my mission in life for the last part of my career. And so we do a lot of that. We do just fractional CFO, cash flow, budgeting, forecasting. And then we also I have a division of my company that does QuickBooks, back office services as well, bookkeeping. So we kind of offer the gamut on, because I found that some of my clients really needed that bookkeeping as well. And so I decided to bring somebody on to do that as well.
Yeah. I should point out that you are also the host of the Smart and Savvy Business Exit radio show.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
So about a year ago, this opportunity just kind of fell in my lap. The gentleman who started at the internet radio station, and it's the International Business Growth Radio Network. And it's a international network that is strictly for the small business owner. And so we offer accounting, we offer HR, we offer CEO help for CEOs and HR. And so every one of the hosts has a hour-long show every week, which I do on Tuesdays. And my topic is helping you get your business ready for exit. And so I pick a topic every week and do a deep dive on it. And it's a lot of fun. It's more talking than I've ever done. But I've had so much fun with it. I had no idea I'd be doing it a year later, but it's really quite a rush to be able to take the knowledge that I get. I've got a lot of content. You can imagine after a year of doing an hourly, a weekly show, I've got just a ton of content that I'd like to share with people.
As of when we're recording this, 135 episodes all around Smart and Savvy Business Exits. And I'm going through some of the show titles. I'm really interested to learn more. So I hope you don't mind giving me the kind of the down and dirty versions of, I'm looking at, so for example, like, I'm just going to pull one out. Let's go right here.
Sure.
An ESOP as a transition strategy. Tell me about when this might be a really good strategy for an exit.
Well, so back when I started my career, ESOPs were a big thing. I mean, selling your company to your employees, and it kind of sort of fell out of favor. I don't know. It wasn't as popular during the late 90s and 2000s, but it's reemerging as a strategy for people who, and it's for people who really want to take care of their employees. Because a lot of business owners, they'll go down the road of trying to sell their business, and they get to the end, and because of a cultural problem, or because the new owners aren't the people that they want, they're for their employees, I guess. And the way that you can really secure your employees' futures is through an ESOP. And so it's usually somebody who doesn't mind paying, doesn't mind taking a little bit less for their company, doesn't mind being paid over a period of time, but really really cares about the future of the company and the future of the employees. And so there are so many people who are looking at that now, just because they haven't been able to find the right buyer for their company.
Yeah. And boy, I'm just going through, I don't know if you could kind of rattle this off the top of your head, but there's so many different exit strategies I never even considered. Would you mind going through some of maybe start off with just some of the more common ones, and then maybe some unique ones that you've experienced in your work?
Well, some of the topics that exit strategies that I've talked about in my show are obviously the sale of your business. That's the number one. But there's the sell to a strategic buyer. That's somebody in your industry who wants to open up their footprint. And then there's the people who buy for investment, who maybe want to grow the company more and then sell it down the road. Then there's the family transition, and that's if you have. I have a client right now who has two sons working in his business, and he's getting close to wanting to retire. And so we're talking about how he can transfer this company to his family members, which sometimes can be a lot different than your typical sale, because maybe the family members can't afford to purchase the company outright. So there's usually a note take back, or payment over time, which is a little bit more risky for the owner of the business, but it is, it's something that he can do for his family. And so there are also management buyouts. If you have a great management team who's interested in buying the company, that can be a little bit structured a little bit differently than, say, just an outright sale, because and a lot of people do that if they are really concerned about the future, how the company's running in the future. Because if you've got a strong management team in place who really want to grow the company, that your business is in good hands. So we did a whole show on that as well.
Yeah. So I'm on your website right now. So your website is CFO Plus Services.com. What are the typical clients that you work with, and how do your services work? So I clicked on your services tab, for example, and I see where you've got, it just is consultation, QuickBooks bookkeeping consultation, 1 hour, 3 hour, but who's a great client for you, and how do you work with them?
So it's funny, because my target audience, or my target client, has kind of shifted, and I really have two. When I first started out, I was targeting more, between 5 million and 20 million in revenue. Those companies that are, they're over that, that $1 million mark, but they can't yet afford a CFO. And so I was strictly a fractional CFO, and I do anything CFO. I'd be doing, visionary planning, budgeting, forecasting. And over the last year, since I started my new business, I'm also really targeting smaller, like what we call micro businesses that are in the, 750,000 to, $1 million or 2 million. The ones who the pandemic particularly hurt. And so I found that there were so many people out there who were having cash flow problems. And so that kind of became my specialty over the last year, was helping them get through the cash flow planning. And that just became a whole nother niche for me. And so I've been working, I do volunteer work with the Virginia SBA, and I help them with a class that they do that's targeted towards these types of businesses. And so I've met a lot of small business owners in the last 3 years since I've been doing that. And that I've just found I love working with small business owners. It's like my favorite thing to do.
Yeah. I want to ask you this. If let's say you're working with someone and they've got cash flow issues and they feel bad, like what, do you ever do therapy with people?
That's a big part of my job, honestly.
Wow.
Because it was really hard. I mean, over the last year, I did a lot of PPP applications, idle loan applications. And I mean, somebody who's has been in business for a while, and they were just going along and not accumulating a lot of cash, or, they were getting by. And then suddenly something happens, like a pandemic. And it's just, it's like the bottom drops out of them. And so you have to, first of all, talk them off the ledge. And then we do talk about strategies. We talk about, you're not the only one going through this. Let's try to figure this out and get through it. And then, then we'll get back to building, value in your company. But, let's get through this, minor crisis. And so I would come up with different strategies. I do a webinar for small business owners that is strictly on cash flow strategies, so that there are different things they can do to, conserve cash. Yeah.
But I think what I'd love your take on as well is don't feel bad. Like listen, you're not alone. I want to let other people know, and particularly if there's anyone listening to us, and should you be struggling with cash today, or should you at some point in your business have a cash flow issue? That's business.
Well, that's almost universal.
Yeah.
There are some businesses I go into and they've got great cash reserves, and I'm like, oh wow, you're like, you're the exception to the rule.
Yeah.
No, especially the past year, almost everybody has had those problems, and you shouldn't feel bad, because it is tough to run a business, to pay all the bills, and then collection issues became huge during the past year, because everyone was, holding on to cash because they were so scared. And so it was like a domino effect. If I wasn't getting paid, I couldn't pay. And so everything just kind of stopped. And so what we had to do is work through ways to get bills paid, because, other people are hurting, but also figure out ways to get money coming in. And, the PPP loans, I think, saved so many businesses.
Yes, agreed.
It's unbelievable how that little shot in the arm really, I look at some businesses, it helped them sort of take off, give them, and it's like, it's a confidence thing. It really is. Like you said, don't feel bad. Everybody's going through it, but once you get that confidence, and once you get a little bit of money and things start going, a lot of these people, they figured out how to run their businesses more lean. And I don't think they're going to go back to the way they were running their businesses before. So anytime you go through a market adjustment like this, or a pandemic, companies learn better ways to run their business. So, if anything good could come out of this past year, it's probably been that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I would imagine that when someone's working with you, now, do you provide fractional CFO services then? Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. And what,
I have
like,
several clients I'm doing that.
Oh, is that really expensive? Or like for someone who's never, maybe they're at that level that are like, I wonder. Because like we have a fractional CFO that we use. I mean, it's very, very like I have 1 30-minute meeting a month. So it's very, very, very fractional, a fraction of a fraction of a fraction. It's mainly just to check in. He kind of looks at everything, asks some questions, that we kind of just talk. And then he's on, listen, I got to tell you, like, if nothing else, just to have someone, because, these are conversations I don't know that I necessarily want to have with people on my team.
Right.
And maybe in some cases, even a family member, I'm not sure I want to have this conversation, but having that, that person that has seen it all, has done it all, like it's so valuable to be able to have that check-in call, if nothing else. But can you explain a little bit more about what it's like to bring in a VCFO, a fractional CFO?
And so what you described is a lot of what I do with actually most of my clients. It's either quarterly or monthly check-in, take a look at the financials, maybe do a deep dive on the financials, and just it's more of a validation. And you kind of nailed it in that it's the conversation that an owner doesn't want to have or shouldn't have with other people in the company. There may be some people that that they're close enough to, but a lot of times, a business owner, I'm the only person that they talk to about these kinds of things. And so, we can talk about, whatever they need to talk about, really. We do strategy sessions. It's just, I go with the financials. I've reviewed them before the meeting, and then we just start talking. And if it goes to expenses, if it goes to revenue, I'm ready to talk about any of it. So most of my clients are like that. And then I have a few other clients that it's a little bit more involved, that I'm actually a part-time CFO for the companies. I work with the accounting staff. These are larger companies that they don't need a full-time CFO they don't need a full-time CFO. So, I'm maybe working, 20 to 30 hours a month for a couple of these clients.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Interesting. Now, you're also the author of the book, The Big Turnaround. We only have like 2 minutes left. Tell me about The Big Turnaround. And then also, when somebody goes to CFO Plus Services.com, what should they click on? What should they do?
Okay. So the bigturnaround.com came out about 3 years ago. It's a business novel. I am a big Patrick Lencioni fan. And I got the idea to write a novel, but it's more of a tips book, because it deals with different tips that I have for small business owners in terms of how to run their business. And so I had a lot of fun writing it, and you can learn all about it at thebigturnaround.com. It has its own website, but you can also find out about it on my website, CFO Plus Services. You can also access my podcast, which my radio station has turned into a podcast every week. And so there's a tab on my website where you can look and see whatever you might want to listen to in terms of the podcast.
All right.
Ellen, and I do give a free analysis of financial statements. That's what the consultation is.
I like that. And it's an hour long. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I would imagine, I mean, even if, someone doesn't know if they're ready to start right now, I mean, that's exceptionally valuable. So, my goodness, why not have an expert, bounce some ideas off of an expert, build a relationship?
Sure.
Because Ellen, you seem like someone I'd want to have in my corner. I really appreciate the conversation. Again, your website, CFO Plus Services.com. Ellen McIlhenny, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Josh. I really appreciate it.